Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is the newspaper show and I'm Hina Gambhir. This is one show that brings to you all the headlines that you can find this morning on the Times of India newspaper. So let's get started with the Times of India. The front page today has this news about 6 local vaccine candidates who have now been identified, 30 groups on the job. That's the story that Times of India this morning is leading with on the front page. Government is working on guidelines for distribution. This is what Sushmi Day has reported. India has identified at least 6 local vaccine candidates with 30 groups trying to develop a vaccine for COVID-19. Besides, around 10 drugs are being repurposed for use in treatment of the disease and are under different stages of trials, the government said, but also highlighting that it was working on guidelines to prioritize distribution of the vaccine once it is available. Then here is a quick update on India's COVID count. COVID-19 surge in the city of Delhi. 1,000 plus cases reported in just 24 hours. That's another big story here. 13 deaths reported in a single day. AIIMS staffer with COVID symptoms also lost life. And this is another update that how our COVID count has crossed 1.6 lakh. 6,926 cases were reported in just one day. Maharashtra maximum cases, then Delhi and then Tamil Nadu. These are the daily cases that have been reported. Now, this is another important update. The way cases in India are rising, India is now number 9 among worst hit nations in the country. Till a couple of days ago, it remained at number 10th position, but it is now at number 9 with over 1,60,000 total cases. Then the government is also thinking of a strategy after lockdown 4.0 ends. Amit Shah speaks to chief ministers on way ahead after lockdown 4.0. That's another story that the front page has this morning. Then Supreme Court has told the centre and the states that don't charge any fare from migrants. When waiting for their turn to board transport for going home, the migrant worker must be provided free food, shelter and basic amenities by the state government. This is what the Supreme Court said yesterday. So big decision has been taken in favour of the migrant labourers. Now 18 flyers who flew in 3 days test COVID positive. This is what airlines have said. At least 18 flyers who flew on different domestic routes of 2 airlines in the last 3 days have tested positive for coronavirus, and this is raising a lot of concerns among other air travellers as well. Then on the other hand, Karnataka wants limit on flights from 5 states, bars traffic from 3. That's another important story because Karnataka does not want people who are infected with coronavirus to come into Karnataka, and that's why it is requesting the government to limit the number of flights from at least 5 states. Then there is an update as far as this India-China face-off is concerned. Government fobs off Trump, says no room for third party on China issue. Remember, repeatedly US President Donald Trump has offered to mediate between India and China as well. No de-escalation in China standoff. The army brass took stock of the ground situation of China standoff with inputs from military operations and intelligence, even as there are no signs of de-escalation just yet. That's another important story here. Then there is an update from Jammu and Kashmir. Pulwama attack rerun bid foil. Big development. Car loaded with explosives was seized yesterday. Then a controlled explosion of the car was carried out. Then there is some good news as far as monsoon is concerned. Monsoon is likely to finally hit Kerala on June 1st or 2nd. Not set to get rain. This is what the Indian Meteorological Department has said. The heat wave is mostly over. Wet week ahead. So there is relief now for people of Delhi, NCR and other regions of North India which were reeling under heat wave conditions. Now heat wave is mostly over. Wet week ahead is what the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted. Now after Facebook Jio deal, Google to take Voda Idea stake. That's another story on the front page here. Then a couple of interesting stories also there. FPI holdings in NSE 500 have fallen to a 5-year low. UP government has signed an MOU for 9.5 lakh jobs. These are largely going to be for the migrant laborers who have come back. There is a good news for people who still don't have a PAN, instant PAN. Now you can get with UID linked phone. If you have an valid Aadhaar linked mobile number, if you have an Aadhaar card, you can get your PAN card in just 10 minutes. This is what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had released yesterday. Then ICC meet defers key decisions. That's another story. And Delhi has given an advisory on a possible locust attack. So this is something that you can find on the front page of the Times of India. Let's now move on to the Navbharat Times. और यहाँ पर अगर बड़ी खबर की बात करें जो फ्रंट पेज पे है तो वो है जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कल फैसला लिया गया है माइग्रेंट लेबरर्स को लेके। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है घर लौट रहे मजदूरों के लिए इंतजाम नाकाफी, किराया न ले, खाना दे रेलवे। तो ये डायरेक्शन दी है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने। तो कुछ रिलीफ जो है माइग्रेंट लेबरर्स को मिला है जो अभी भी कई जगह अभी भी चल चल के अपने घर जा रहे हैं। ऐसी एसी में बैठे कुछ लोग हैं जो हमारे कामों को नहीं देखते, इस तरह की बात कही गई है माइग्रेंट लेबरर्स के द्वारा। एंड उसके साथ ही यहाँ पर नवभारत टाइम्स ने यह भी रिपोर्ट किया है कि बढ़ सकता है लॉकडाउन। लॉकडाउन 5.0 के लिए सरकार राजनीति बना रही है। इस बार राज्य और जोन की बजाय जिन शहरों में मामले ज्यादा हैं उन्हें जो है उन पर फोकस किया जाएगा और वहां सख्ती की जाएगी। बाकी जगहों पर छूट रहेगी। 31 मई को समाप्त हो रहे लॉकडाउन का 2 हफ्ते के लिए बढ़ना तय है। इस बार और छूट मिलेगी। तो ये एक बहुत ही अहम खबर है। हालांकि सरकार ने अभी कोई फैसला नहीं लिया है लेकिन मीटिंग्स जो हैं वो शुरू हो गई हैं ऑलरेडी सेंटर और स्टेट्स के बीच में। पुलवामा पार्ट 2 नाकाम, निशाने पर थे 400 जवान। ये एक बहुत बड़ी खबर है, जम्मू कश्मीर से आई है जो फ्रंट पेज पर ही है। और दिल्ली और हरियाणा की सीमाएं फिर से हो गई हैं सील। हरियाणा नहीं चाहता है कि दिल्ली से जो केसेस हैं वो अब हरियाणा की तरफ भी पहुंचे, क्योंकि पिछले 24 से 48 घंटों में देखा है कि हरियाणा में अचानक से कोरोना वायरस के केसेस बढ़ गए हैं। दिल्ली में एक दिन में मिले 1000 से ज्यादा मरीज, अब तक के सबसे ज्यादा। ये चिंताजनक बात यहां पर दिल्ली के लिए होती जा रही है और देखेंगे कि अब चीफ मिनिस्टर क्या स्ट्रैटेजी अपनाते हैं। और आखिरी में भारत ने कहा चीन पर मध्यस्थता की कोई जरूरत नहीं है और ये जवाब दिया है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका को, जो बार बार प्रपोज कर रहे हैं कि यूएस प्रेसिडेंट जो है तैयार हैं मीडिएशन के लिए अगर इंडिया और चाइना को चाहिए तो। मूविंग ऑन नाउ टू द इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स एंड today, the big story on the front page is May turns out a shade better as factories restart. Business activity to improve further in Q2 as more restrictions may be eased at the end of this month. So the expectation is that things will start looking up, things will start getting better from now as the economic activity has started resuming. So May is looking slightly better than what we saw in the month of April. In fact, CII report shows pickup in resumption of business activities. From Gujarat to Odisha, most factories have now opened. Activities yet to start in containment zones in Mumbai, Pune and Nagpur. So that's the first story. And today also the 4th quarter GDP data will come out. Ahead of it, many rating agencies, institutions have started giving their GDP forecast. S&P is now seeing economy contracting 5% in FY21. In fact, what we will get today is just going to be a glimpse of the COVID impact on Indian economy. Then there is an interview that is there on the front page with Hardeep Singh Puri, the Civil Aviation Minister, by Mihir Mishra. Flights will be at pre-COVID levels by Diwali. So Mr. Puri is hopeful that things will become normal by Diwali as far as the aviation sector is concerned. You can get the full interview on page 7. He also says restarting economic activity critical as extending lockdown could be more devastating. He has also said that we will come out of the phase on top. Our greatest strength is we have our own people to fly, own travel demand and routes. So you can get the entire interview with the Civil Aviation Minister here. Then empowered groups of experts have submitted the exit strategy. 2 government panels want lockdown lifted. So this is going to be very, very important because on one hand the number of cases are rising sharply. On the other hand, there are states which are concerned, experts which are concerned that there should be a very specific strategy, focused strategy for the containment zone specifically in our country. So what happens after 31st of May is something that is being considered and various ideas are coming. This is what the empowered group of experts has said. Then Google searching for 5% in Vodafone Idea. This is another important story here. Lastly, Maharashtra should open up. This is what Sharad Pawar has said. President NCP alliance partners in talks with industry to restart operations. Stimulus measures insignificant, says NCP chief. So this is about the Economic Times. Let's get you the latest as far as the Delhi edition of the Times of India is now concerned. Kangana, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast. Kangana, good morning. Over 1,000 cases reported in Delhi in just one day. This is a cause of big concern.
Well, of course, Hina, it's a really sad news that is coming in from the national capital. Delhi has recorded 1,024 cases in the last 24 hours, including 13 deaths due to coronavirus. And that's shocking because the last time that we saw that spike in a single day was 792 cases. And now Delhi has become the third state after Maharashtra and Gujarat to have reported 1,000 cases in a single day. So this is the sad news that is coming in from the national capital, and now the total number of cases in the national capital have gone up to 16,000. So that is the high number that we are talking about. Whereas the Delhi government, Arvind Kejriwal, Chief Minister, has already said that there is nothing to worry about it. We are ready and prepared to deal with the crisis, but these numbers are really worrying.
And it also is reported that 67 COVID-related deaths have taken place at Safdarjung. That's also on the front page. Thank you very much, Kangana, for the moment, for joining us with all of those details. We're now moving on to the Mumbai edition of the Times of India. And here also on the front page, it is about COVID count in Mumbai and Maharashtra. Arunil, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast. Arunil, good morning. Cases in Maharashtra set to cross 60,000, deaths near 2,000. City reports 1,400 plus cases and 38 fatalities. Every single day, the number is just rising. And if you look at only Mumbai, it accounts for over 20% of the total corona load.
Well, that is right, Hina. In fact, if we look at the figures, it is going from bad to worse, at least in the state of Maharashtra now. Yesterday, there were more than 2,500 cases reported in the state of Maharashtra. The total count is just 500 less then the 60,000 mark in the state of Maharashtra. And yesterday, around 85 deaths also occurred in the state of Maharashtra. This is the second highest single day death count in the state of Maharashtra. Out of that, around 38 deaths were recorded from the city of Mumbai as well. If we speak about Maharashtra, slowly reaching closer to the 2,000 mark. So yes, precarious situation in the state of Maharashtra and particularly in the city of Mumbai. Around more than 70% of the positive cases are from the same areas like Govandi, and some more measures will be required from the BMC and the state government to curtail the virus. With respect to the migrant population is concerned, we get to know that 8 lakh migrant population from the city of Mumbai have already left for the respective home states, and more 2 lakh people will be going in the coming few days.
All right. Thank you very much for the moment, for joining us with all of those details, Arunil. In fact, a couple of other interesting stories as well in the Mumbai edition of the Times of India. And here, 8 lakh migrants have left city, 2 lakh more set to go. Of the roughly 10 lakh migrant workers in the city who applied to return to their native states, around 6.5 lakh have left on train so far, while 1.5 lakh used other modes of transport. That's another important story. Prithvi Raj to be Speaker, Patole to head Congress. The Congress is likely to revamp its state unit by appointing Vidarbha legislator and current Speaker Nana Patole as state unit chief and give the Speaker's post to former Chief Minister Prithvi Raj Chavan. This could be an important story as far as Maharashtra Congress is concerned. Then another story that is here, number of sealed buildings has doubled in 10 days in Andheri West, and Kurla is worst affected in this region. 13 districts have more recovered COVID patients than those under treatment. This is about Maharashtra, where 13 districts are seeing better recovery rate as compared to other districts of Maharashtra. Moving on now to the Chennai edition of the Times of India, and Shilpa, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast. Shilpa, good morning. The front page of the Chennai edition of Times of India is reporting that working to keep fatalities in Tamil Nadu down, says government, as 12 die in one day. What has really happened in the last couple of days in Tamil Nadu? Things were not that bad.
Well, Hina, everything that Coimbatore cluster, began, we've been seeing a high surge in number of cases, and it has not come down. The numbers yesterday alone, 827 new cases were reported. This is the single-day highest spike that the state has recorded. And out of these 827 cases that were reported, 599 were from Chennai, and 117 of them were passengers who came to the state from different states. But yesterday, the state, of course, recorded the highest number of deaths as well. 12 people, 12 COVID-19 patients died yesterday. So that, of course, is a cause of concern. And Tamil Nadu has been recording a very low mortality rate as compared to other states. And for that reason, they are taking proactive measures to keep the mortality rate down. There are audits that are done for each COVID-19 death case. And also they are, of course, coming up with special plans for vulnerable groups, for people who have comorbidities. So these are some of the measures that Tamil Nadu government is taking to make sure that the mortality rate remains low. But nevertheless, the high surging number of COVID-19 cases is a big concern for the Tamil Nadu Health Department.
All right, Shilpa, appreciate you joining us with all of those details. And let's move on now to the Bengaluru edition of the Times of India. And here the big story is that Karnataka has told centre to reduce flights from at least 5 virus-hit states. No entry by road from Gujarat, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, at least for the moment. Karnataka is taking all kind of precautionary measures to protect its own people. And that's the reason why the special request has gone. This is the big story on the front page. Apart from this, Karnataka may cut property guidance value by 5 to 10%. This is another important story here. 621 poles down in 3 days. No power in many Bengaluru areas. And several areas of Bengaluru experienced 2-hour power cuts on Thursday, a day after heavy rain lashed the city. And that is another important story here. My colleague Deepak Bopanna is now joining us on the broadcast for more on this. Deepak, good morning. So Karnataka is taking all kind of precautionary measures to ensure that the numbers of coronavirus remain low, and 5 states have been asked to reduce the frequency of flights.
Yes, now Karnataka government has been making it amply clear that the influx of people from neighboring states like Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu and Gujarat in the recent times in particular have brought in a lot of cases. Right now they're saying that they do not have enough facilities and arrangements to be made to have more cases coming in, more tests to be done and more to be quarantined. And to reduce their inflow, they want to now restrict travel. But of course, we should also keep in mind that somewhere the ministers who are briefing the media after the cabinet are making casual statements, which is leading to a lot of confusion, because earlier a statement was made that travel will be completely banned from these 5 states for some time. And then, of course, a clarification came in that it will be restricted. So as of now, the main idea is to somewhere control the number of people who are coming in. They're saying the people who had registered before a particular date will be allowed to travel. It's only the people who are applying now. There will be certain restrictions. Of course, they've also said that emergency travel or for essential services, travel would still be allowed.
All right. Thank you very much for the moment, Deepak, for joining us with all of those details. We're now moving on to the Kolkata edition of the Times of India. And the big story is buzz is back at Kolkata airport as flight operations started after 2 months in Kolkata. That's the big story here. When the Alliance Air took off for Guwahati from Kolkata at 6:05 on Thursday, relief was palpable among passenger, airline staff and airport officials, all for different reasons. Then apart from this, there's another story. 28 in Kolkata police have tested COVID positive in 48 hours. 5 disaster team members among 25 fresh PTS patients. Then flights cancelled, rescheduled. Chaos marks first day of Kolkata's return to the skies because a lot of things have changed, and that's the reason why there was a bit of confusion at the airport that was witnessed yesterday. Masks, social distancing make for jittery flyers. Another important story here. Tamal Saha, my colleague, is now joining us on the broadcast. Tamal, good morning. Kolkata edition of the Times of India is also reporting that 200 extra unplanned trains. That's now Bengal's new COVID worry.
Well, that's right, Hina. It has been a matter of concern for the state government. In fact, day before yesterday, Mamata Banerjee held a press conference, and there she had lashed out at the Union Railway Ministry for taking unilateral decision without consulting with the state government. Her concern is that she wanted all the migrants to come back to West Bengal, but in a staggered manner, so that the state can manage the quarantine, facilities. State can also take care of isolation. At the same time, when it comes to sending them to respective districts, the state can also decide as which all districts they can be allowed to go, which all areas they can be allowed to go on the basis of containment. So yes, Mamata Banerjee has sought intervention of the Prime Minister. She has reminded the central government that containment means that area has to be contained, indicating that states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Delhi and Madhya Pradesh should be contained at this point in time, and no train should be coming from there. But yes, having said so, 200 more Shramik trains would be coming to the state of West Bengal. Thus, the state has decided no more institutional quarantine for people who are coming from outside. They would be allowed to stay at home, but under strict vigilance for 14 days under the vigilance of the state government, minus 5 states. Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Delhi and Tamil Nadu. People coming from there, they would be allowed to go to their respective districts, but at their respective districts, they will have to stay in at institutional quarantine, something the government still has to arrange. The state is saying that on one hand, they are battling the cyclone, the natural disaster. On the other hand, the COVID, and also going through lockdown. Now, given the fact that migrants are coming back and in such number, the state feels their problems are being forcibly compounded on them by the Railway Ministry.
All right. Thank you very much, Tamal, for the moment, for joining us with all of those details. We're now moving on to the news that you have on Times Global. First thing that will catch your attention on this page is a quote by Charlie Chaplin: "A day without laughter is a day wasted." That's how the page really begins. And the big story is that China okays plan to rein in Hong Kong. UK, US, Canada expressed concern in a joint statement. That's the big story here. 3 pro-democracy lawmakers were ejected from Hong Kong's legislature on Thursday, disrupting the second day of debate on a contentious bill that would criminalize insulting the Chinese anthem. That's the big story here. US mulls expulsion of Chinese students linked to PLA schools. That's another story here. Then US President Donald Trump has prepared an order to limit social media companies' protections. Accusing social media giants like Twitter, Facebook and Google of an anti-conservative bias, US President Donald Trump is set to sign an executive order aimed at regulating online platforms and taking away some of the legal protections that they enjoy. And this is something that Trump tweeted as well. This will be a big day for social media and fairness. Then another story is about coronavirus. US tops 1 lakh virus deaths as layoffs climb to 41 million. Then violent protests rock Minneapolis over death of black man in police custody. Lastly, Siberian zoo sees animal baby boom during coronavirus. A Siberian zoo that closed its door for visitors for over 2 months due to lockdown has encouraged a baby boom among its animals. That's about the news from around the world. Let's get you the latest from the world of sports now. My colleague Karishma is joining us on the broadcast. Karishma, good morning. ICC BCCI exchange generates heat. What really happened?
Well, Hina, we all were expecting a decision on the T20 World Cup. Now, that has been deferred up until the 10th of June only because the ICC created a stir around the media coverage that the decisions, even before they were taken, took place in the media. That became a talking point in the meeting that did not even last for 2 hours. And the tax issues that were revolving around BCCI and ICC, that also became a talking point. There were emails that were leaked in the media, and the ICC, instead of giving a decision on a more important topic of the T20 World Cup, decided to do an investigation as to how the leaks were happening. And by the 10th of June, Manu Sahani, the ICC CEO, is going to give important information regarding this entire issue to the board, and then a decision on the T20 World Cup is going to be expected. And so basically the decision has been deferred up until 10th June because the ICC wanted to focus more on how the leaks were happening in the media.
All right. Thank you very much, Karishma, for the moment, for joining us with all of those details. We're now moving on to the Delhi Times page, news from the world of entertainment that you can find today. And the big story is what Prasoon Joshi, chairperson of the Central Board of Film Certification, has said. CBFC has resumed screenings, reviews in most offices except Mumbai. That's the big story here. They have taken some special measures as well to ensure that filmmakers who want to release films on cable or satellite platforms aren't inconvenienced. And that's why the work has now started there. Like this, there are a couple of other interesting stories that you can read on this page. With this, it's a wrap. Thank you very much for staying with us here on the Newspaper Show.